I need you to stop whatever you're doing right now, because what I'm about to share with you in the next few minutes could completely change the way your body heals. And I'm not talking about some trendy supplement or miracle pill being sold online. I'm talking about real food, food that has been sitting in grocery stores, in markets, maybe even in your refrigerator right now, and you have no idea of the power it holds. I've spent over 2 decades working with patients, athletes, cancer survivors, people recovering from surgeries, people battling chronic fatigue and inflammation, and the single most common thing I see? People are trying everything to feel better. They're sleeping more, they're exercising, they're buying expensive supplements, and yet their bodies are still struggling to recover. They're inflamed, they're exhausted, they're healing at a fraction of the speed they should be. And when I sit across from these patients and ask them one simple question, "What did you eat this week?" the answer almost always reveals the problem. Here's the truth that most doctors don't take the time to explain. Your body is a regeneration machine. Right now, as you watch this, billions of cells in your body are repairing themselves, fighting off damage, rebuilding tissue, restoring balance. Your immune system is working. Your mitochondria are firing. Your inflammatory response is either helping you or quietly destroying you. And the fuel powering all of that? It's not a prescription, it's not a supplement stack, it's food. But here's where it gets interesting, and stay with me, because this is the part that most people never hear. Not all foods support recovery. In fact, some foods that are marketed as healthy are actively slowing down your body's ability to regenerate. And on the other side of that coin, there are 3 specific superfoods, backed by peer-reviewed science, studied in clinical settings, documented in real patients, that can dramatically accelerate your body's natural recovery process. 3 foods that target inflammation, oxidative stress, cellular repair, muscle regeneration, and immune function all at once. And the last one, number 1 on this list, is the one that surprises everyone. It's the one most people are not eating nearly enough of, and it may be the single most powerful recovery food on the planet. We're going to go through all 3, and I'm going to explain exactly why they work. Not just that they work, because understanding the mechanism is what makes the difference between following advice and actually applying it with conviction. But before we go any further, if you're new here, I want to invite you to subscribe to this channel. Everything we do here is based on science. No hype, no shortcuts, no sensationalism, just evidence-based information that you can actually use to live better and feel stronger. Hit that subscribe button right now. And I want to know, where are you watching this from? Drop your city, your country, in the comments below. I read every single one, and it means the world to me to know that this content is reaching people everywhere. Leave a comment right now and let's build this community together. Now, let's get into the science. Before I give you the list, I need to explain something fundamental about what recovery actually means inside your body, because most people have a completely wrong picture of it. When you push your body, whether through exercise, illness, stress, poor sleep, or injury, your tissues experience what's called microtrauma. Inflammation is triggered. Immune cells rush to the site of damage. Free radicals are produced as a byproduct of that immune response. Your cells need to repair their membranes, restore mitochondrial function, flush out metabolic waste, and rebuild structural proteins like collagen and actin. That entire cascade is what we call recovery, and it is enormously resource-intensive. The problem is this: silent, chronic inflammation. It's one of the most documented and most underestimated health crises of the modern world. A 2018 review published in Nature Medicine described chronic low-grade inflammation as a driver of nearly every major chronic disease: heart disease, diabetes, neurodegeneration, cancer, and accelerated aging. And when your body is stuck in a state of background inflammation, often caused by ultra-processed foods, high sugar intake, sedentary behavior, and chronic stress, your recovery capacity is being silently throttled. Every time your body tries to repair itself, it's fighting against a tide of inflammatory signals that slow the process down. This is why two people can have the exact same injury, the exact same sleep schedule, the exact same training program, and one recovers in 4 days and the other is still struggling 2 weeks later. The difference, more often than not, comes down to the biochemical environment inside their bodies, and that environment is shaped, more than any other single factor, by what they eat. So let's start building that environment. Let's talk about superfood number 3. Dark leafy greens, spinach, kale, Swiss chard, arugula, collard greens. I know, you've heard this before, but I want you to hear it differently today, not as a generic eat your vegetables recommendation, but as a precise, mechanistic explanation of what these plants are doing inside your body at a cellular level. Dark leafy greens are among the most nutrient-dense foods on Earth. They contain extraordinary concentrations of vitamins K, C, A, and folate, alongside magnesium, iron, calcium, and potassium. But what separates them from ordinary vegetables is their concentration of bioactive phytonutrients, compounds like sulforaphane, found abundantly in kale and related cruciferous vegetables, lutein, zeaxanthin, and quercetin. Let me focus on sulforaphane for a moment, because the science here is remarkable. Sulforaphane activates a cellular pathway called NRF2, a transcription factor that essentially acts as your body's master antioxidant switch. When NRF2 is activated, your cells upregulate their production of endogenous antioxidants, glutathione, superoxide dismutase, catalase. These are your body's internal defense system against oxidative damage, and sulforaphane turns that system on at the genetic level. A landmark study published in PNAS, Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, found that sulforaphane-rich broccoli sprout extracts could reduce markers of oxidative stress and inflammation in human subjects within days. The implication for recovery is enormous. When your body's antioxidant defenses are operating at full capacity, the cellular damage caused by intense physical effort, illness, or stress is neutralized faster, and the repair process accelerates. Beyond that, dark leafy greens are rich in nitrates, natural compounds that your body converts into nitric oxide. And nitric oxide is a vasodilator. It relaxes blood vessels, improves circulation, and ensures that oxygen and nutrients are delivered more efficiently to tissues that are trying to repair themselves. A 2017 study in the Journal of the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics demonstrated that dietary nitrates from vegetables significantly improved muscle recovery in athletes, reducing soreness and accelerating return to baseline performance. And then there's magnesium, one of the most underappreciated minerals in human physiology. Magnesium is a cofactor in over 300 enzymatic reactions in the body, including ATP synthesis, the production of cellular energy, protein synthesis, and muscle relaxation. Studies estimate that up to 68% of Americans are deficient in magnesium, and that deficiency is directly associated with increased muscle cramps, slower recovery, poorer sleep quality, and elevated inflammatory markers. Dark leafy greens are one of the best whole food sources of magnesium available. So when you eat a large bowl of spinach or kale, you're not just getting vitamins. You're activating your cellular defense systems. You're improving blood flow to damaged tissue. You're giving your muscles the minerals they need to relax and rebuild. That's superfood number 3. And as powerful as it is, we're just getting started. Moving to number 2, fatty fish, particularly salmon, sardines, mackerel, and herring. If dark leafy greens represent the foundation of recovery, the cellular cleaning and energizing layer, then omega-3 fatty acids represent the anti-inflammatory engine. And this is where the science gets truly compelling. Omega-3 fatty acids, specifically EPA, eicosapentaenoic acid, and DHA, docosahexaenoic acid, which are found in abundance in fatty fish, are the precursors to a class of signaling molecules called resolvins, protectins, and mersins. These molecules are literally called specialized pro-resolving mediators, or SPMs, and their job, as their name implies, is to actively resolve inflammation, not suppress it, not mask it, resolve it, bring it to a conclusion, signal the immune system that the work is done and it's time to begin the repair phase. This distinction is critical. Many pain medications and anti-inflammatory drugs work by suppressing the inflammatory response, which can actually interfere with the healing process because inflammation, in its acute form, is necessary for initiating repair. Omega-3 derived SPMs, by contrast, turn off the inflammatory signal while simultaneously promoting tissue regeneration. It's a fundamentally different and far more intelligent mechanism. A meta-analysis published in the British Journal of Sports Medicine in 2020 reviewed multiple randomized controlled trials and found that omega-3 supplementation significantly reduced delayed onset muscle soreness, DOMS, decreased markers of muscle damage like creatine kinase and interleukin-6, and improved recovery time after intense exercise. Another comprehensive review in Nutrients, 2021, highlighted omega-3's role in reducing C-reactive protein, one of the most reliable blood markers of systemic inflammation, across multiple patient populations. But omega-3s don't just reduce inflammation. DHA, in particular, is a critical structural component of cell membranes, especially in neurons and muscle cells. When cells are damaged, replacing and rebuilding those membranes requires DHA. If you're deficient, and most people in Western countries are chronically deficient in EPA and DHA, your cells are literally being rebuilt with lower quality structural material, which compromises their function and longevity. Salmon, in particular, is also an outstanding source of complete protein, delivering all essential amino acids needed for muscle protein synthesis. It provides vitamin D, another recovery-critical nutrient that the vast majority of people are deficient in, selenium, a powerful antioxidant mineral, and B vitamins that support energy metabolism. It's one of the most complete single-source recovery foods in existence. 2 to 3 servings of fatty fish per week, roughly 100 to 150 grams per serving, is what the research consistently supports as an effective target for achieving the anti-inflammatory benefits of omega-3s through diet. And for those who genuinely cannot access or tolerate fatty fish, high-quality fish oil supplements standardized to at least 1,000 milligrams of combined EPA and DHA per day have been shown in numerous trials to produce comparable effects. But here's the thing. As powerful as omega-3s are, and they are extraordinarily powerful, they represent the second tier of what's possible. Because what I'm about to tell you has the potential to affect not just muscle recovery, not just inflammation, but cellular aging itself, the regeneration of your brain, the protection of your DNA, the very speed at which your body can rebuild at its most fundamental biological level. Number 1 on this list, the most underestimated recovery food on Earth. And if you're not eating it regularly, your body is paying the price every single day. The number 1 superfood for recovery. Berries, blueberries, strawberries, tart cherries, blackberries, raspberries, acai. I want to be careful here not to overstate, but I also refuse to understate, because the evidence for berries as a recovery superfood is some of the most compelling nutritional science published in the last 2 decades. Berries are the richest dietary source of a class of polyphenols called anthocyanins, the pigments responsible for their deep red, blue, and purple colors. Anthocyanins are potent antioxidants, but that description alone doesn't capture how sophisticated their action really is. Unlike simple antioxidant molecules that neutralize one free radical at a time, anthocyanins work at the signaling level, modulating gene expression, reducing the production of pro-inflammatory enzymes like COX2 and LOX, inhibiting NF-κB, one of the master regulators of inflammatory signaling in the body, and activating SIRT1, a longevity-related enzyme involved in DNA repair and cellular stress resistance. In plain language, berries don't just mop up oxidative damage after it happens. They change the cellular environment so that less damage occurs in the first place, and so that when damage does occur, the repair machinery responds faster. A landmark study published in the Journal of the International Society of Sports Nutrition found that athletes who consumed blueberries before and after exercise experienced a significantly faster recovery of muscle strength and reduced markers of oxidative stress compared to a control group. Another study, specifically on tart cherry juice, published in the British Journal of Sports Medicine, demonstrated that marathon runners who consumed tart cherry juice in the days surrounding a race recovered their strength nearly twice as fast as those who didn't. Twice as fast. Let that sink in. And it's not just athletic recovery. A 2019 study in Annals of Neurology found that higher anthocyanin intake was associated with slower cognitive decline, suggesting that the cellular protection offered by berries extends deep into the brain, preserving neuronal function and reducing the neuroinflammation that underlies conditions like Alzheimer's disease. A comprehensive analysis in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition demonstrated that regular berry consumption was associated with significant reductions in CRP, IL-6, and other blood markers of systemic inflammation, even in populations not engaged in formal exercise. What makes berries the most powerful of these three superfoods is the breadth of their impact. Dark, leafy greens excel at cellular detoxification and energizing the repair process. Fatty fish excel at resolving inflammation and rebuilding structural tissue. But berries operate at the most fundamental level. They protect genetic material from oxidative damage, they modulate the inflammatory gene expression that drives chronic disease, and they enhance the sensitivity of your cells to repair signals. There is also emerging research on their effect on the gut microbiome, specifically that anthocyanins act as prebiotics, selectively feeding the beneficial bacterial populations that produce short-chain fatty acids, which in turn reduce intestinal permeability, support immune regulation, and further reduce systemic inflammation. The gut recovery connection is one of the most exciting frontiers in nutritional medicine right now, and berries are at the center of it. 1 cup of mixed berries per day, fresh, frozen, or freeze-dried, it doesn't matter, is sufficient to begin producing measurable effects. The research doesn't require exotic quantities. It requires consistency. Daily intake over weeks and months is what transforms the internal cellular environment. So let me bring this together, because the real message here is not just about 3 foods. The message is about understanding that your body's capacity to recover is not fixed. It is not predetermined by genetics alone. It is not something you have to passively accept. It is an actively manageable biological system, and food is its most powerful modulator. When you eat dark, leafy greens, you activate your cellular defense systems, improve oxygen delivery to recovering tissue, and supply the minerals that make hundreds of enzymatic reactions possible. When you eat fatty fish, you provide the molecular signals that resolve inflammation and rebuild the structural architecture of your cells. When you eat berries, you protect your DNA, modulate gene expression, reduce the chronic inflammatory burden that silently slows every healing process in your body, and you feed the microbial community that regulates your immune system from the inside. Together, these 3 superfoods create a nutritional environment inside your body that fundamentally changes what recovery looks like. Not just athletic recovery. Life recovery. The recovery from stress, from illness, from aging, from the cumulative cellular wear of being alive in a demanding world. I've seen patients come back for follow-up appointments weeks after making these dietary changes, and the difference in their blood work, their CRP levels, their white blood cell profiles, their energy markers, is measurable, real, documented. This is not anecdote. This is physiology. The speed at which your body recovers is a reflection of what you give it to work with. Supplements have their place. Rest is irreplaceable. But at the foundation of every healing process, you will always find nutrition. And now you know exactly which 3 foods to build that foundation with. If this video gave you something useful, something you're going to carry with you into your next grocery run, your next meal, your next conversation with a friend who is struggling with fatigue or inflammation, please share it. This kind of evidence-based content takes time to create, and it reaches people who genuinely need it. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. We are building something here, a community grounded in science, in honest information, in the belief that your health decisions deserve to be informed by evidence and not by marketing. Every week, we go deeper. Every week, we bring you something that challenges what you think you know about your body. And drop a comment below. Tell me where you're watching from. Tell me which of these 3 superfoods you're going to add to your diet first. Tell me if you have a question, because I read the comments and your question might become the next video. The body you have tomorrow is being built by the choices you make today. Recovery is not something that happens to you, it's something you create. One meal, one decision, one informed choice at a time. I'll see you in the next one.